Weekend football is saved and football is dead as well. Dublin against Kerry was an absolute classic. Then of course my microphone was the problem there. And then Galway against Monaghan was the death of football again on the Sunday. We've got a great panel here on the Gaelic Football Show on Off the Ball. Myself, Shane Stapleton. I'm joined by Eoin. Shane, Eoin, how are you?
Very well. How are you?
I'm flying it. We're joined by current Meath footballer Mickey Burke. How are you, Mickey?
And Shane, not a bother.
Good. And another Meath stalwart as well, Tommy Rooney. How are you?
Hey fellas, that's the correct.
We're going to talk about Dublin and Kerry in depth. Obviously it was an incredible game, but there are a couple of other teams that are really pulling up trees at the moment as well, and one team without the Mullinachta players, Longford, they're top of Division 3. It's the first season for Pádraig Davis, and it couldn't be tougher in that he doesn't have the Mullinachta players. 6 or 7 players will probably come back and be in on the team, so to do this in his first season is incredible, Mickey.
Yeah, and we were just talking about it off air, Shane. You know, really proud football county. Took a good scalp off us last year, down there in Pearse Park. Like, so, they're doing really, really well without the lads, and you know, a lot of fine footballers down there. They're pulling up trees really at the moment.
And even within that, last week they didn't have Robbie Smith or Pádraig Gill available to them as well. A couple of other teams that are standing out. Laois in Division 3, Leith from Division 4. They're the top scorers across all 4 divisions. So there's plenty of teams that are going under the radar at the moment, Owen. Like, it's all talk about Dublin versus Kerry, but there are plenty of teams that are making progress.
Yeah, but like, I guess, are we kind of destroying the whole appreciation of these teams, that every time we see one of these teams do well, it immediately turns to the idea that this should be what we're seeing in the summer, that with Leitrim it's like, well, will these lads, what are they going to do in the summer, which I think kind of kills the whole appreciation of these teams. Like, from a Leitrim perspective, the big cliche we've heard from their camp all down through the years is Emlyn Mulligan is one of the greatest players to never play in Croke Park. We can probably put that cliche to bed at the end of this year to get to that Division 4 final, which would be a positive from their point of view. So they're flying at the moment. Terry Harlan doing great stuff with them. And Laois, it's no real surprise, given the steps forward they made last year, that they've actually continued that on this year. And like, I don't know, like Mickey, you probably have a better idea of that, especially from a Longford perspective, seeing them up close and personal last year. That, like, I'm not sure how shocked you were with that result last year, but I'm sure many people who had watched Longford at that point knew that there was a big performance like that in them. So certainly those 3 teams, they've been flying, and I just wish we could actually watch these games in full. Is the only thing.
Mickey, I'd like to ask you a question as someone who's out there playing at the moment, and the mark rule, so whether it's offensive or defensive, there's a little delay in between when you take the mark, and we've been told, and it's been clarified, that you declare that you're taking a mark by stopping. So let's say a ball comes into you, 60-yard ball flies in, you catch it the way you like to do, and you stop because you're taking a mark. But the offensive, or the player on the other side, doesn't realise that that means you're stopping. He hasn't heard a whistle, and he absolutely clobbers you. Is there a situation going to arise whereby you've called a mark, you've stopped defending yourself, and you're going to get injured because there's a delay in between the mark and the whistle going?
Yeah, that could well happen. Like, I don't really know how much the mark is being used. Like, you know, not being smart when the balls are kicked in. We were doing a bit of video work on Jamie Clark now, and the real Jamie wasn't playing, but he got 2 very obvious marks, but he didn't even take them. He just took his man on and went for the points. You know, like, he didn't stop and take the actual. So I don't know, are they being Conor McManus and the Monaghan boys did it in the first game. You know, they took a lot of marks, but I don't really know how much is being called from an offensive point of view when the ball's being kicked into the full forward line. Do
you like it or dislike it as a rule?
I think it's okay. I think the sideline balls going forward are good. Excuse me, my issue was that the GA brought out too many rules at once, and it was going to be very hard for the refs to get it right. Excuse me. That was my problem with it at the start.
Just on something like the mark, and you did mention, like, they brought in 5, so obviously we know there's so many political avenues that we have to go through to get different changes in, and you even brought up one different one last week about a goalkeeper that I still disagree with, but still. But just on the mark, right, so we saw how Monaghan used it in such a kind of, I'm not even going to say innovative, but it was a cute way. Like, I think when it was first touted, everyone was thinking big full forward in on the square, give it to Donaghy, back to Kerry 09 with the Twin Towers inside with Walsh and Donaghy. Like, it doesn't have to be like that. It's like, it's a smarter player. Like, it's Jamie Clark and how he uses it. He gets a yard, and he might feign as if he's going to take the mark, but it also gives him, it's rewarding attack and play. Like, I think that the mark, it might be difficult if you're playing as a cornerback in inter-county football, but like, to reward attack and play, I think the mark is a really, really good idea. But I'm not sure how much focus you guys are putting on it, because we had Andy McEntee in here before Christmas. He was in with Michael Darren McCauley, and it was a piece around the Sean Cox fundraiser back then. And Andy's frustration was, you want me to you know, play certain rules for the league, but ultimately he's building for the whole year. Like, how is he supposed to, you know, plan for the league and the championship? But I think that if it was brought in, say, for next year, and there's a bit more focus put in it, you could work on it.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about Dublin and Kerry now. First of all, there was a video earlier in the week where Mike Quirke was speaking about the impact of Peter Keane.
He seems to kind of keep himself to himself a lot of the time. He likes to throw out a lot of these kind of old Pishogue saying, a little bit like Jack O'Connor, and all these South Kerry managers seem to have the same kind of graw for those kind of things. But he doesn't really know, as far as I'm aware, he doesn't seem to crave that you need to, you know, accept that I'm the boss and I'm the gaffer and I'm the guy with all the great ideas. I think he was very open and willing and wanted to get the likes of Donny Buckley and surround himself with really good people and good expertise, as opposed to maybe someone who wanted to take that kind of limelight. Because the big thing with Donny Buckley is, like, Donny Buckley's getting a lot of credit for some of the stuff that he doesn't do at all. While Donny is really, really good at what he does, Donny's getting credit for everything just because he's in the setup. And for another manager, somebody there that's maybe, you know, challenging him or taking that kind of, you know, aura of brilliance from the manager wouldn't really be accepted. But I think he you know, that was a big thing for him to get Donny involved and to make sure that everybody knows, listen, I got Tommy Griffin, I got these guys, and it's a kind of a team effort as opposed to, you know, one guy on his own. And I think I think from listening to him, I think he had a rocky start in terms of the way, you know, and it's been well publicised the way they can contacted or didn't contact guys that should have been contacted, and I think they've held their hands up and said, look, yeah, we'd probably do it differently. But, you know, from what you can get now in 3 games into the league, I mean, Kerry supporters couldn't be in any way happier with what they've seen from Peter Keane's team.
Yeah, it really was a fantastic game. Just at the last minute, Peter Crowley point, like, he somehow held on. It would have been so damaging for Kerry. Like, you were down at the game, you were a big Kerry man. It would have been so damaging if, with that developing team and Dublin down to 14 men, if you had coughed up a 4 or 5 point lead, but to actually see it out at the end, get that late winner, that's huge for Kerry.
I think so, yeah. I think a defeat would have been even more damaging than if there was actually a chasm between the teams and Dublin had run out comfortable winners. It was like, oh God, they've got so close. They're clearly well ahead of them in preparation, and they still managed to lose. It would have been a big psychological blow, I think. But, like, I don't know. I'm first of all saying here, just for the record, that clearly Dublin are maybe 50-60% of where they're going to be at the summer, and for the record, Kerry are closer to 80, 85, 90% maybe of where they are.
They're not, though. They're not at 90%.
Let's go with it. Let's just say
all right. Yeri. That's what you're going for here.
For the record, that's my opinion.
Okay.
But when people talk about what Kerry have done against Dublin in the league in previous years, and then they say, or should they didn't back it up in the summer? Well, I really do believe that Kerry have the Mayo-type quality to play up to Dublin in the summertime. That the last 4 league meetings is 1 win for Dublin, 2 wins for Kerry, and a draw. So over the course of those league meetings, they haven't got one single crack at them in the championship. It was 2016 was the last time they got a crack at them in the championship.
Why didn't you get a crack at them? Well, because you didn't get far enough. You weren't good enough.
That's my point exactly. Just like Mayo got caught last year, like they almost got caught the previous year, despite the fact that they should have beaten Dublin that year. Like, that can happen to a team. Like, that's a psychological thing. That's a thing of bottling certain situations, which Kerry did last year, which was the first game of the Super 8s. They've had that in their potential, and I think Donny Buckley, his influence in terms of how they'll play stylistically, in terms of their attitude on a very singular basis, in terms of tackling, in terms of intensity, will hopefully manifest itself to a wider thing, which is not bottling a game like that again. So I think because of Donny Buckley and because of the way they were approaching games, they will get within range of Dublin, or they've got a very good chance of getting within range of Dublin. And I don't think we've actually seen that much evidence over the last couple of years to suggest that Dublin would actually kill them in the championship.
Mickey, you've played against Dublin a number of times, even going back to 2011, 2012. You weren't that far off, and of course you beat them in 2010.
Yep.
What is it about Dublin that makes them different to every other team?
They're just an exceptional group of players at the moment, Shane. You know, like, they're so mobile. I seen very interesting stats there recently. I think their hand pass completion rate last year was like 97%. Their foot passing was 93%. Jeez. I think it was in the Times. I'm not just sure. But, you know, like, that's unbelievable. People talk about fitness and athleticism, but, you know, ball retention and being just their general smarts, decision making under pressure is brilliant. There's so much going for them, but it was a cracking game of football the other night. 2 teams really going at it. I do think, though, that Kerry look a little bit fitter. I heard they did a real tough pre-season, so you got to put that into context. But very positive signs from Kerry in all fairness, you know, without the kind of Yara, you know, but they did you know, young Moynihan and O'Shea, they really went toe to toe with Dublin.
That was the best part. That was the best part of it. And it's why we love this Mayo team so much. The neutral loves them, is that they're fearless when it comes to it. And I think Dublin, over the last couple of years, it's appeared like they've gone so far ahead of a lot of counties, and they have, because they've got so much right. But when Mayo meet them, it's as if they're on a level par. That Mayo team in those Ireland finals, they were on a level par when they started. And I think Kerry treated that game in three like that. They just treated it like, this is us. We're starting off at 0-0 here, like.
Tomás O'Shea made an interesting point this week. He talked about the one thing that maybe Kerry are lacking is man markers, and he said that they could have managed the game an awful lot better as well. Do you think that, like, you've probably man marked many players down through the years in Dublin as well? Yeah. How difficult is it to man mark one of those Dublin forwards in a mano v mano situation?
I remember you marking Paul Mannion and Croker a couple of years ago, man marking him.
Yeah, I would have got all the difficult tasks, to be fair, until maybe Donald Keoghan came in with us and he kind of took over that mantle. He's absolutely brilliant at it. But I think from Mark and Bernard Brogan and Dean Rock, their greatest strength, in my opinion, was actually their patience. They stayed inside, they waited and waited and waited, and you actually might have done okay at them at times, but they just waited until the right moment and they'd come in the loop, and next thing they'd finish the game with 3 or 4 points. You know, they just had, patience was their greatest trait. But when you're in cornerback, you're never going to get too many slaps in the back, Shane. You're fighting fires at all times.
It's interesting to see that the first score that Kerry got in the game and the last score they got were both from players in the full back line. So Jack Sherwood is back this year, looks in great shape. He got the first point outside of the boot from, was it 40 yards or so.
Owen knows him well, a good fires man.
Yeah, and then obviously Peter Crowley with the winner at the end.
His cousin.
Is it his cousin?
Yeah, first cousin.
Well, there
you didn't mention that Jack Sherwood was your cousin.
That's sure it's not my cousin.
Is he not?
No.
Oh, he's just a Irish club man. I always thought he was your cousin.
So you have 9 different...
That's the most like stereotypically thing about the Kerry man joke I've ever heard. You're all related down there.
But you had 9 different scorers, the full back line coming up with the first and last point as well. There's an element of total football about Kerry.
I like the way you're saying you had 9 different scores. Like, I've got nothing to do with this. I mean, just a mere neutral observer.
I know you're going to get wound up.
What was your point there?
Just that the fact that there's footballers all over the field, and you have threats from everywhere now.
Well, I guess that's the benefit of it, isn't it? That when you talk about coaching players to be footballers, I guess it kind of helps when if you are playing within a system, that ultimately you're going to find different parts of the system in scoring opportunities. Like when the transition game has become so on vogue over the last decade or so, it means that your defenders just need to be better point scorers. That's a pretty simple thing.
That is Gaelic football nowadays.
It is, and like I think that's really important. I think like you look at the likes of Brino Bugleek, who was a bit patchier than he was in Breffni Park, I must say, but at times he was excellent. Tom Sullivan is a brilliant footballer. God, he was unbelievable in the county championship last year for Dingle, and he's really brought it into his Kerry form. And then we saw the likes of Sherwood going forward as well. We know what Peter Crowley can do in offensive, on an offensive standpoint as well. Their point taking is obviously one of their strengths from a unit as a defence. But it's just like a quick word on the tactics. Like going into the game, the blanket defence from Kerry was going to be a big talking point. It wasn't implemented as stringently as it was at times in the Tyrone game and more so in the Cavan game. But when they did do it against Dublin, and I know it's a fairly obvious thing to say, but it's worth pointing out that there's a difference between getting bodies behind the ball and going full blanket defence. As in, Kerry had at one point 15 or 14 men behind the ball, but they'd only 2 men inside their own 21. So they had just packed that area between the 21 and the 45, which meant that Dublin couldn't even get into scoring range. Even if they got the ball, it was just completely crowded out anywhere within the scoring range, and they were forced into taking those pot shots outside the D on certain occasions. But as I say, a lot of teams like to pack in behind their own D. Kerry tended to push up as much as you can, even though you've got 50 men behind the ball. I know there's a lot of contradictions in what I'm saying there, but it was one thing that I noticed.
Just one of the things about Kerry, Eamon Donoghue had a piece on it. Their swarm tackles, like the amount that they had in the first 2 games, like it was 8 and it was 9. It was, a group of players attacking whoever had the ball. Like that's a massive thing. Is that all Buckley? Is that all Donny Buckley?
Has to be a huge part of it, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Like you can definitely see that they've tried to bring a hardened edge to them. Like this year, Peter Keane, they're working really hard. I do agree that the amount of trap tackles that they put in was unbelievable. Buckley is known as a master, like for tackling and defensive. Like he brought that into Mayo. So, but you can see that they're trying to bring a hard edge to them, and they're really, really fit at the moment. And they did have 40. I was watching that actually last night. They did have 14, 15 men behind the ball at times. So, Yeah, no, it was a good performance.
Is the swarm tackle thing, is that difficult to implement as a team? How long does that take? You know, you'll have your 6 defenders set up, but in terms of implementing something like that, how difficult would that be to?
Yeah, I think it does take a little bit of time because, as you say, like, you can get men back, but they mightn't actually be doing their job. They could just be standing there. They mightn't be that effective. So it just takes repetition to kind of get that going from management.
Like, just on the Dooney-Buckley, just very briefly, I think it also helps that they trust him. He's been in there before, and it's when you return to something, it can obviously have its downfalls, but this is clearly all upshot so far, that the Kerry lads trust him. Some of them were there last time he was there as well, so they're actually relearning the same thing that they've learned before, and I think that's why it's been such an instant impact. There actually isn't this big 6-month project that's required from Dooney-Buckley, but as you rightly pointed out, they've probably been doing it since November anyway, so they've already had a couple of months at it.
So it's brilliant for Kerry to have Jack Sherwood back. A guy who really stood out was Gavin O'Brien as well. There seems to be a lot of really, really good footballers coming in there. Sean O'Shea was excellent as well, and some of his free taking. He's the sort of player who looks like in clutch moments over the next 10 or 15 years, he's going to be the sort of guy who delivers. So on the back of that and how well we saw David Clifford playing last year, I said, you know what, I'll throw a poll up on Twitter to see.
Shane and his polls.
Yeah, I know, and it'll come up here just now. And essentially the bones of it was who is going to be the more exciting prospect over the year.
Yeah.
Over the years, is it going to be David Clifford or is it going to be Sean O'Shea?
It's a tough one, isn't it?
And it caused consternation.
I'd say it's 50. I'd say it's 60-40.
It was 65-35. It comes up on screen there. I'll check my own Twitter just to make sure.
Just on Sean O'Shea. There it is there.
Yeah.
There's your poll.
So who's the more exciting of these two brilliant Kerry prospects? David Clifford got 64%, Sean O'Shea 36%, and that was out of 1,266 votes. So there's a nice sample size there as well.
Just on Sean O'Shea, like, best free taker in the country.
Do you think so?
Just on the early viewing, like inside the 45. I know we missed a late one. It was outside the 45.
Ahead of Michael Murphy.
I think you said.
Wow.
I think you said, but Murphy's got such range. But I think you said that he missed one against Tyrone as well, out by the sideline.
Sideline, just outside the 45, or maybe just inside the 45. I can't
Sean
remember.
O'Shea not missed one towards the end in this game.
He did, yeah. That was the second one this season.
Okay.
But just his style and everything is so. I know Paul Broderick from Carlow might have a say in it as well, but
yeah,
he's so good. It's so important to have a free taker like Meath bought back Mickey Newman this year. It was obviously lethal from frees as well.
Penalties.
And penalties too, but like it is so important. Like Dublin couldn't foul a Kerry man inside the last day.
Yeah, well, I think Dublin, the reason they've gone from like being one of the better teams to being an all-time team is that someone like Dean Rock has gone, not from being a passenger, but his strength was from dead ball.
Early on.
To being a huge option from open play. And I think Sean O'Shea already has that he's nowhere near a passenger for this Kerry team. Just to reiterate, I'm not calling Dean Rock a passenger, nor was he at any point a passenger, but his biggest improvement has been from open play, hasn't it, over the last couple of years.
It's Mannion and Rock have improved exponentially in the last 3 years.
Rock has gone from, and this might sound harsh, but a glorified free taker to one of the best forwards in the country. I would imagine he's one of the toughest guys around to mark these days. We actually have a picture here how often they work the ball up the field, give it to him, and on the loop he just turns, and it's like in motion his free taking side. He just turns and drives it over the bar. Now in this situation he actually got blocked down, I think, but it's just that same repetition. He catches the ball on the loop and just knocks it over. How tough is he to mark?
But that's what I was saying, like their patience and coming on the loop is their strength. Like they just wait for the right moment. You think they're going to go, and then they're gone and they get the ball in the loop and it's over the bar. Yeah, Dean, he's improved. He's got physically in better condition as well, and he's really improved with Dublin. It's amazing that Sean O'Shea and David Clifford, two boys, we're talking about who's the best, but isn't it great that they're, as if you're a Kerry fan or a Kerry man, that they're from the same county, like.
It's unbelievable.
As it turns out, that he actually did throw that one over the bar. It was another one I was looking at that I was going to put up where he was blocked down. But just another thing that stood out from the game was that Tommy Walsh came on at half-time. He was a bit of a threat. David Moran came on in an advanced position as well. Two guys who were 6 foot plus, 6'4", something like that.
They're definitely 6'4", aren't they?
It was very interesting that Johnny Cooper was replaced and James McCarthy was put back full back. Like obviously you can play James McCarthy.
He kicked 3 points before that.
He kicked 3 points, which was ridiculous. So I'm wondering, as the summer goes on, Philly McMahon is going to be back. He normally takes the big man at the Bear and the Square. Will other teams have learned something from the fact that the big man went in there and it did hurt Dublin?
Crucially, they hurt them without actually catching any offensive mark. This will all work in the summertime if Dublin set up the same way.
It's even just the threat of it.
Yeah.
You don't have to use it, but it's the threat and you have to keep the other team honest.
Well, sorry. No,
go on.
No, it's the one kind of negative about this team, about Dublin, isn't it? That everyone kind of talks about if there is a kind of a chink in the arm or a weakness, that maybe that long high ball in might cause it, like it's caused them a little bit of trouble before in the past, and it happened at the weekend. I think there was a diagonal ball, and it was a bit of a messy goal, but it was a high ball in.
Yeah.
And
Stephen O'Brien's goal,
yeah, Stephen O'Brien's goal. So, Tommy Walsh and David Moore, they are options for that long ball possibly again.
Can I make a quick point on the Tommy Walsh switch, right? So when you bring Tommy Walsh off the bench late into the game or 20 minutes to go, whatever, it forces the hand of the other team. So like Dublin had to make a call to move McCarthy back. It'll be horse for courses, whoever they have on a certain day, if it's August, a semi-final or final, whatever. It's killing me that I can't remember exactly what happened, but Mayo Tyrone a couple of years ago, Rochford pulled a fast one.
He put Lee Keegan on Sean Cavanagh.
No, he started with Alan Dillon, and he forced McCart's hand, and 30 minutes in, Hart made a substitution to bring on a man to counteract Alan Dillon and mark Alan Dillon, and then by half time Dillon was pulled and Barry Moran was brought in, and Tyrone had wasted a substitution basically. So like it forced his hand. So Tommy Walsh is a phenomenal option. Now I know you're going to expect him to come on, but like to force somebody's hand, to make them do something different in their defensive setup.
Okay, well I think that's it for Dublin versus Kerry. I want to talk to you, Mickey, about yourself. You started a new range of clothing. I've got one of your jerseys here. It's a retro Meath jersey, and I have to say it's absolutely cracking looking jersey. I don't know if people can see that properly there.
Turn it around there. I think you're missing the logo at the back.
I'm missing the logo. Yeah. There we go, folks. Are you going with the name Honey Badger?
Well,
that the name of your range?
That is a honey badger. That is a honey badger. It was meant to be a honey badger anyway. But look, it was something I've been thinking about for a long time. Thinking about different bits and bobs. A lot of lads have kind of gone down the gloves and the tracksuit route, and I just, to be honest, I wanted it out for Christmas.
Yeah.
That's the 1988 jersey Meath won the All-Ireland, and I wanted 2018 for Christmas, but just a little bit slow getting it done. I wanted to do it right. Wanted to get my own design on it properly. So. But no, things are going well, and I think it's a cool jersey because I'm a Meath man. But so look, we'll just keep our options open and see what happens, Shane.
Where'd you get the idea behind? I'm going to launch a business. I'm going to do retro gear.
Well, there'll be plenty of things flying through this mind now. Retro is just in, I think like 10 years ago you probably wouldn't be caught dead in that jersey, but everything, they say if you live long enough, hairstyles, clothes, I think bell bottoms are coming back in again now for us, we'll be wearing bell bottoms shortly, but
I think I've started seeing them come back already. I don't think I'll ever be caught.
Yeah, no, they are seemingly, but no, so I just said I'd go for that, and actually met Bonner Maher out in the street. I roomed with Bonner in the shinty, and it was gas, just bumped into him, and he was on about really go with a tip one. So look, we'll see what happens.
What version would you want, Shane?
We'll see what happens.
Well, can I give you a suggestion? Well, all of that era, any tip jersey is amazing, let's be honest. The Finch's one was particularly good. But around the start of the 90s, there was a style with some of the numbers that were big blocky numbers, but they had lines going the whole way down. They were just whichever way is across, lines the whole way down, horizontal lines. What a nightmare. But they looked absolutely brilliant. If you look up some of the jerseys around 1991, I think you should go for that, Mickey. Can I talk to you about your use of Instagram? Because as far as I know, you need 10,000 followers and you can set up a business account. And because players aren't always let out to speak to the media, you often wonder how they can use their profile to, leverage their business interests. For yourself, you're a very active user of Instagram. Is that something you like to try and leverage for your own business interests?
Oh yeah, no. Initially, I was just being myself, having the crack.
Having a bit of crack.
Yeah, having the crack. People probably see me as a very serious fella. I can presume that playing football, you make judgments on lads. God, he's whatever. He's a such and such. But I just try to be myself, showing what I do at home in the pub and the farm, trying to have a bit of crack, and people just, I suppose, start. I don't have David Beckham's type of followers, but people follow you. So
people are looking for quality content, and I can guarantee you that you're going to get bits and pieces on Mickey's Instagram. The Only Fools and Horses sketch from back in November. We ran it on the show here. That was just fantastic.
Yeah,
that was a group of the lads. Was that after you won the championship?
It was the day after home in the pub. Yeah, we did that falling through the counter, so it was a good laugh. Only on the second take now as well, my dad. But so the Instagram's going well, and just try and publish it, help the jersey, I suppose. Yeah,
so in a general sense, do you see that this is an avenue that players can go down because, again, are the opportunities there with not being able to speak to the media for the most part? And is this a safer way for players to put themselves out there and maybe earn a few quid out of it?
I think so. Well, I'm not on Twitter myself, okay, so I can't speak for Twitter, but because I think you're open to maybe getting a bit of hassle off lads on Twitter. So I went down the Instagram route, and I think the main thing is, like Andy or management have never said that to me before, I think the main thing is you focus on your sport, and once you're doing well in that and you're performing, I think that's the key. If things are going, if you're saying stuff on Twitter or you're putting up stupid photos on Instagram and you're not playing well, that's when the trouble will start. So I think the main thing is get your ducks in a row, play well or keep performing, and then do whatever you got to do.
It kind of applies to club football as well. Like, everyone has a Snapchat account, a Twitter account, and an Instagram account. If you tell a boy you're not at training, and next thing he appears, or you tell your manager you're not at training, and it appears on your Snapchat, your Instagram.
And it happens.
It's actually happening all the time in club football as well. So it applies to that too. And I think with the Instagram stuff, I know he's retired now, but like Aidan O'Mahony has also launched his fitness business on Instagram. And there's a lot of GA lads who are offering, really good advice in terms of strength and conditioning and fitness and stuff. Like, it's a phenomenal platform for stuff like that, because the market, the audience is there. Like, young people are on it the whole time. And there's serious potential for it.
Is this going to be the start of a fashion venture in general, or is it just retro jerseys for the time being?
Oh, I'm not going to say. Look, I'm going to see how these. I really only started it on Monday. Just put it up before the National League game at the weekend. They're available in Ted Murtagh's and Trim. County Meath. You can buy them online there or in the shop. And Ted has been very good to me. CJ has been very good to me. Ted is his dad. So it's been. Well, I'll just keep my options open, really. I'll just keep my options open and see what happens. And
as well as that, you work in your father's pub in Longwood as well. One of the things that struck me when we spoke last year for an interview was that you go to the gym more or less every single day. Is that still the case?
Yeah, well, I'll be doing some type of fitness training most days, definitely, Shane. Yeah.
Even the day of matches, you go to the gym?
Yeah, I do. I'm actually trying to. What I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to actually lose a bit of muscle. Funnily enough, slight bit, just try and lighten up. I just think it's the way the game has gone. All the players now are extremely lean. I'm not carrying body fat really as such, but it's just I have to maybe trim down a bit of muscle. So
I think that's something that Paul Galvin, when he did the documentary a number of years ago, he said he watched himself in one of the All-Ireland finals and one of the opposition players was just able to ghost away from him, and then he said he needed to become more limber, more mobile, lose some muscle mass as well. So you're in your 15th season with Meath at this stage, I'm guessing 32 or 33.
Yeah.
At this stage you want to get, the lighter you are on your feet the better, because having a bit more strength probably won't make too much difference to you.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Funnily enough, I was reading up about Ronaldo. I'm not comparing myself to Ronaldo in any way.
So Beckham and Ronaldo have come up already.
But he's actually doing the same thing. He's trying to lose weight as he gets older, because he says he wants to play until he's 40 or 41. So that's just, I'm trying to obviously perform to a high level, try and get a bit lighter, help my movement, help my recovery as well. But I've always been mad into, I suppose, marginal gains and fitness, and try and get any little advantage I can, and that's the gym, sleep, recovery, food. I've always been into that. I think it's probably kept me going for as long as I have.
And was this your idea, or was management speaking to you saying, listen Mickey, you might want to think about reinvesting your weight?
A little bit of both. They haven't been too, so I was about probably in the championship last year against Tyrone, I was probably 92, 93 kgs playing wing forward, which is quite big. So trying to maybe, get down to the mid to late 80s, which is not easy. I like me grub, I like me grub. I would have always ate healthy, but maybe I would have ate a lot. Yeah. If that makes sense. So it's just trimming down and it's getting any little advantage you can when you're trying to cover 10, 11 and a half K wing forward.
That's what you're hitting there.
So are you hungry?
Oh, I was hungry, yeah. I do be hungry, yeah. I'm doing, it's called intermittent fasting at the moment.
All right. Oh, is that the thing where it's from 8 p.m. until the following 12 p.m? Sorry, you tell me.
Ian Healy did that.
Yeah, the hours vary.
Yeah.
So you can do different ones. So mine is kind of 16 hours off, and then I have 4 and 4 is 8 hours on. Now, it doesn't mean you can eat whatever you want in the 8 hours. So I kind of have 3 pretty healthy meals and a snack.
In that 8 hours?
In that 8 hours.
16 off?
Yeah.
Yes.
So what hours are on and what hours are off?
Okay, so the way I'm doing it is just with the pub and that at home. So I go to bed late, but I don't have to be up very early. So anyway, I would maybe my last meal would be at maybe we'll say 10 o'clock, and then I go the whole way around to roughly about 2 or 3 the next day.
Jeez.
Did you find that tough to adjust to?
No, I'd have a couple of black coffees in the morning, and the coffee actually kills me hunger a bit, and plenty of water. So that's what I do. You know, I'd have my coffee at 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, maybe another at 1, and then you're almost ready for your meal. Then by 2:30 or 3, the stomach is rumbling.
And what differences or changes have you noticed since you started doing it? How long have you been doing it?
Couple of months. I'm a bit gaunt in the face. Maybe I'm not. No, again, it's learning. It's trying to be open to improving all the time. You know, I think you got to keep your options open and learn. And you see that with all be open to different things, like all the great players. You know, reading different lads' books. O'Callaghan, Brad Thorne, just boys who've played to a ripe old age. You got to just be open to that.
And do you feel any differences?
I to be honest, not really, but hopefully short-term loss, long-term gain. That hopefully in the summer I'll see it. I can't just see it immediately, but hopefully I will.
We'll come to Meath shortly. Sorry, Tommy.
Just a quick one. So obviously we've seen there's an interesting point on your body shape and it not suiting the game at the moment. As in we've seen, say, the likes of someone like Paul Flynn, who when he started off was like Paul. Now naturally he's probably 6'1" or 6'2", and he had the frame for it. But when he was in peak Paul Flynn, 2014, 2015, like he was massive, he was huge, and then he leaned down again over the next couple of years. Like it goes through phases, like James McCarthy's transition from when he first broke through. And I know naturally playing at county football and training over a couple of years you're going to get bigger, but like the game does flow. We saw a lot with rugby, size was premium, and then it's obviously now it's more kind of leaner lads and running, like, so it's very interesting, the kind of graph it goes.
Yeah, I think the rugby boys have even trimmed down a bit. Like you can see it in them, they're not as big, like they're leaner. Probably when I started off football, like Tyrone and Armagh were in their pomp. You know, McGeaney and the boys, Francie Bellew, they were all units. The McNultys, it was kind of bodybuilding, and that's when I started off. It was. I got big. I broke the leg in 2010, and you know I kind of wanted to, you know, build my body up for football. I was trying to do it with the right intentions, and probably at that time it was good. But now it's just changing. You got to evolve and go with the times.
You have a huge passion for tattoos. Just if I can bring that up. One of the things that stood out when we spoke before was that you told me you got them on your right-hand side only, and it just so happens you're fully covered up today, so we can't even see any of them. But you just got them on your right-hand side only, and I was inspired by Michael Kessler, the boxer. Yeah.
Kessler, yeah, I've always been interested in tattoos, and he just saw him, and he was completely covered on the right-hand side, and I was telling you before, I have my leg done now as well, so yeah, it's something I'm passionate about, something I read. I don't go and rush into it, Shane. I just take my time and pick different things, and I have other ideas now in my head. I've been reading up about the rugby boys in Japan. In Japan, there's onsens, you know, they're hot baths.
Right.
Okay, so I was looking at England rugby, Eddie Jones, and for recovery, there's huge. The Japanese, if you have tattoos in Japan, they're accustomed with the Yakuza, who are the criminal gangs in Japan. Yeah. So they have there's going to be trouble if you have tattoos and you're on the rugby squads trying to get into the onsens.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I'm thinking
People
about
have been told to cover them up, aren't they?
They're being told to cover them up. So I'm thinking about getting a couple of Japanese Japanese tattoos for the year that's in it, 2019. Okay. That's an idea, you know, with Ireland going to the World Cup and that, and yeah. So yeah, watch out if you're going to Japan. You've got tattoos.
Good shout.
Yeah.
Are you going to move on? Are you running out of room on the right hand side? Are you going to have to move over to the left?
No, I have a tiny bit of space here, and I've plenty at the back of the leg. So I'm gonna cover that up, fill it up for sure. Yeah.
What have you currently got? Like what's the general meaning around them, or is it just stuff that kind of comes into your head every so often?
Yeah, I've loads. I've St. Michael on my arm. I have the Meath around my elbow. I have portraits of my mother and my father. I have oak leaves, because along with his Maud Jarvie, which means plain of the oak, my village. Loads of different things. I've coffee beans, because I like coffee. Quotes, different quotes. So yeah, all things that I like and mean something to me.
Meath are top of Division 2 this year. It's going well for you so far?
Things are going good. We could have 6 points, but no, things are going well. Training hard. Got a good win at the weekend. We were hanging on by a fingernail in the heel of the reel, but so we have a weekend off now this weekend, and we're down to Cork now next weekend. Cork away is our next game. So
it's a massive thing. So Meath are 8 or 9 up at half time, and fair enough, there's a win, but a team get a run on you in the second half. Being able to stop that momentum, and I don't believe when people say momentum is real. Momentum is real. How do you,
huge, yeah.
when a team is coming back into it and you're on the back foot, the crowd maybe are a bit like edgy, they've got it back to a point. How do you stop that momentum and swing it back? And you know, we get a Thomas Riley kicks a point, I think Mickey's kicked a free, and we got that goal from Meath and Devine. But how does the team stop that, or does it just happen?
I suppose you just got to be smart. Your game management. You got to keep the ball. You can't be giving it away cheaply. Maybe someone goes down with an injury of some sort, trying to kill time a wee bit. But no, momentum is huge. The big mo, like as they call it in NFL, like, you know, it's there. Now when Blaine Hughes was kicking out the ball in the first half for Armagh, like the ball was literally going 40 yards out and it was blown back in. The gale was that strong, the wind was that strong. But I think the main thing is just trying, when you're 9 points up, you don't need to go and necessarily attack the game. You don't need
Draw
to,
them out.
yeah, just nearly let them onto you and then try and hit them on the counter. Again, it's little things we've got to improve on as well. Our own game management, I think. But that's for a lot of counties, and that takes time. Like it took Dublin, years to get that right. So
now we have Kieran Kilkenny hand passing the ball across the pitch, drawing teams out, and then just attacking. But that's what they've been doing. They've been doing it for years.
Just keeping the ball, being smart in it, hand passing, kick pass retention, as I was talking about earlier. Don't give it away.
And we had Paddy O'Rourke on the show last week, so sort of a final question to you then would be, he stepped away from it, felt it wasn't worth all the commitment because there was no chance of winning. What keeps you going, as I said, 15 seasons in?
I suppose the love of the jersey, love playing football. I'm probably, I'm getting the best standard of fitness and training and you know, I've nutritionists and that I can talk to all the time, strength and conditioners. I'm probably the highest level of sport I'm going to get in my life, obviously, so I just want to, but I know when my time is done, like when I can't contribute anymore, the management feel I can't contribute anymore, I'm sure I'll be told fairly quickly I'll be getting Gate Ganley, like, so yeah, I want to keep going for as long as I can, and I'm still passionate about it, and I still feel like I'm contributing. Like look at Andy Moore, and I think age is a number. I'm going back to the age thing again.
It's true though.
Like Aidan O'Mahony played in the Ireland final when he was 36. Or
look at Brick Walsh.
Brick Walsh, unbelievable. They inspire me. I was like, go on, Brick. For another year. I think it's brilliant. I think management got a little bit ageist there for a few years, and now they're actually it's gone the other way. They're nearly respecting guys more when they're playing to an old age.
Even for a while, wasn't it a thing whereby a manager would come in, clear house, get rid of all the older lads, and then say, "Well, look, I'm working with a young team. I need 2 or 3 years." It seemed almost like an excuse.
Yeah, and like Andy Moore, brilliant at the weekend again. Like I don't know. I didn't grasp the whole thing of just making it clear out. I understand naturally management have preferences for certain players, but maybe come in, give guys a chance, see what they're like, and if you don't, maybe like them or rate them, and then
Andy obviously did it when he first came in. There was probably a cohort of players that I don't know whether they were given a chance or they weren't. But like you see the way James Horan did it this year with 100 players on trial for 100 days. Like there's obviously ways of doing it. But with Meath this year, one of the biggest things has been the fact that there's so many more options now. There's so many more players that are putting their hand up and showing. Like we were talking outside about how Darragh Campion is kicking a couple of points every game, and he's growing as an inter-county player for Meath. Like just on Longford, I meant to mention earlier on, I dug up a piece I'd written in 2015. I was previewing a Longford Dublin game. How the hell are you supposed to do that a couple of years ago? But one of the things I focused on was the fact that Longford were given 8 debutants. Paddy Collin made his debut that day, Ronan McIntyre, McKeown the corner forward. I think Smith and McGivney were in the mix already by that stage. Like they're missing the Mullinachta lads, but they've been blooding a couple of players for the last 3 or 4 years, and they've got that squad together. And McEntee has obviously been doing that for the last 3 years. He's been working on his panel of 30, 40 players, and this year, above any other, there's more and more stepping up.
Yeah, look at it. We seem to have more of a squad than we did before, and the likes of Campo's come in and played. He was brilliant at the weekend. Young Ethan Devine has been great. He got a goal for us as well from Enfield. So yeah, there's positive signs, but it's early days. It's early days.
Mick.
We'll keep her lit, boys, anyway.
Well, Mickey, thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you, Shane.
Best of luck with the business venture. Gorgeous jersey. Best of luck with Meath for the year and against Cork at the weekend after next. We've got a video coming up now about the Monaghan versus Galway travesty that was last weekend. We brought in Shane Hannon and Enda Call, who both went to the game for us to discuss whose fault that was. Not every game can be good as Kerry against Dublin. We've two men who were at Monaghan against Galway at the weekend. It was a horror show. We're going to have Shane Hannon obviously build a case for Monaghan, his own county.
Monaghan correspondent for Off the Ball.
Yeah, and then Enda Call, good Donegal man. You're going to put out the case for Galway. First of all, I'd like to mention that both of you are wearing pink runners for Shane Hannon. If you'd like to throw those up.
You can't see his. Go with salmon. I don't think you'll be able to see it.
I'll take pink. Pretty in pink, you know.
Looks well.
First of all, Shane, put out the case for Monaghan.
Okay, well, I wrote down 3 words after the match. So, first of all, Inniskeen's a great venue, so if you haven't been to a match in Inniskeen, go there. It's like a once-in-a-lifetime bucket list achievement. I wrote down windy, fear and shite. So, windy, it was very windy. First half, Galway just set up extraordinarily defensively. 5 points to 4 at half-time. I think Monaghan went 3 or 4 points to the good at the start. But it was, the way Galway had set up was they didn't kind of capitalise on the conditions. They could have. And in the second half, granted, Mickey Burke kind of said, I think, in the interview with you after the game that the wind probably died down slightly in the second half. I don't know if it really did. But the way Galway set up really did not have the quality of the game. So they are fully to blame. Monaghan have absolutely no blame here. Look, we're coming off a win over the Dubs and then 2 disappointing defeats since, which is per. But I think Galway's setup contributed to the defeat of the weekend. The fear I wrote down was that neither team wanted to win. Galway went 5 points up with their goal with 10 minutes left. 1-9-7 was the score at that point. Monaghan scored their remaining 4 points of the game to only lose by 1. So Galway kind of crapped themselves a little bit in that, right, we have this one, we're 5 points up, and gave up. So their style of play was negative from the very start of the game to the very end, and then shite. I mean, to contrast it with the Kerry and the Dublin game was incredible. But look, we're going to get great games. We're going to get crap games over the league, and this was just one of them. And Galway were entirely to blame.
Enda, Galway got through. They got the win. Johnny Heaney with the goal. So tell us why it was Monaghan to blame.
Well, the thing is, Galway went out to get a win, and they got that. So you can't really blame Galway for this being a completely shite game.
And down Cara Finn players as well, which is crucial.
You know,
well, Monaghan were down Carl O'Connell. I know it's not my time, but look.
You know, I'll agree with Sheahan on Inniskeen. Fantastic venue, lovely people, unbelievable pitch, but it's in the middle of nowhere. Apart from that, there was a strong wind, and I can only defend Galway to the extent where they got a win away without key players. Other than that, it was the worst game of football that I've ever been at. I genuinely mean that. And there's a difference between playing defensive football and playing stupid defensive football. Defensive football can be good to watch. It's tactically interesting when it's done right. Galway piled men behind the ball, didn't put any pressure on the forwards. At one stage I saw Rory Began carry the ball out to his own 45 under no pressure. The only man around him was Shane Walsh. And then that was it. That was all they did. They didn't put any, he stood there and dribbled the ball for about 30 seconds unchallenged until he passed the ball off, and then they passed the ball off again and then went back. The first score from play came on 26 minutes into the game.
And Monaghan got 4 overall. You've turned on Galway here, haven't you?
I have, but at the same time, Monaghan had a win in the second half, and they equally did nothing. It died down to the extent of it was maybe 17 kilometres at the start, and it died down to 15. They still had a wind, and they still sat back and sat negatively. And then the time that Monaghan came back at the end, there was 5 minutes added on, and they got 4 points from play when they actually attacked. So why weren't they going out to attack in the second half? Who knows?
It's turned into a massacre on Galway. Caesar's thumb. Okay, so it's debate time now. Ger Gilroy has joined us. Tommy Rooney has stepped out. So has Mickey Burke. Ger, you're going to have to get between me and Owen Shane.
Hold you back, is that it?
Yeah, hold me back.
Shane versus Sheahan. Shane, I'm told, is the sexy name that we have for this segment.
That's our lame
Never
attempt.
slaughter my name like that again.
What way should it be?
Well, we've gone with Sheahan for the debate section here, which is the truth. that my surname is Sheahan, not Sheahan. But
really,
I just say Sheahan because it's like easier for people with a lower IQ to.
You spend every morning together, and Jerry, you didn't notice.
Are you joking about that?
My surname is Sheahan. Yeah.
I just thought it was Adrian Barry's term of abuse for you.
No, it's Adrian Barry's giving me my correct surname, but I'm fine with Sheahan. I don't let things get to me.
Why did you let that happen? That's like, oh my God, I feel bad about, exert some culty pride. What the hell's wrong with you?
Like, I've got enough culture pride as it's going already.
Well, I gave up on correcting him on Stapo. You just go with it after a while. Fine.
If somebody called you Gilroy, it would be.
Stapo was an accident that they called you at training one night. We just stuck with it because it annoyed him. That's fair enough.
That's very funny.
What made you think that? Yeah. Okay. Fine.
You told us that.
It annoyed me a little bit. All right. I was going to try and say it didn't, but it obviously did.
Right. So, Gastapo, where are we going here?
We're doing a debate and you're in to moderate.
Okay, so I'm in to moderate to shut you both up. We have a clock on the screen. You both get 60 seconds.
Mm-hmm. So you're very familiar with this.
It's a 60-second debate, and the debate this week is fairly simple. Who's the best? And in this case, we've got Bernard Brogan against Gooch. I presume you're taking Bernard Brogan, are you? Go on, give us why Bernard Brogan. Are you going first?
No, do you know what? Recency bias cost me last week. So, Owen, you go first.
60 seconds starts now.
Okay, so the first thing, let's address the elephant in the room here that Gooch doesn't do it in like the big games or whatever, that he bottled it in big games. So let's start with the 2008 final that Kerry lost to Tyrone, the game that they should have won that they didn't. They bottled it as a team. Gooch kicked 6 points that day, 3 from play, in a game that Kerry scored 14 points. Pretty good performance. He scored 1-8 in the semi-final replay against Cork that year, so that's 2018 done. 2011, let's address that one, the other one that they bottled. Semi-final, 1-6 against Mayo. In the final, 1-3 against Dublin. In 2008 and 2011, if Kerry win the All-Ireland, Gooch is Footballer of the Year. Right, let's go on to this idea about them winning and Gooch being a key part of that. 2009, start of Learwigs, 1-7. All-Ireland final, 6 points. 2009, the only year you could make a case that Kerry had as good a team as Dublin currently do. Gooch was unbelievable that year as well. But that is the key point here, that Bernard Brogan has played on better teams for the majority of his career than Gooch has done. And then finally is the idea of the peak. How long did the peak last for? Well, it lasted longer than Brogan's peak did. Simple as that. He even adapted his position to the point of actually playing centre forward expertly. See the 2013 semi-final. Gooch better than Brogan, no question. I can't believe I'm even arguing this.
We've got a new clock. Hit go.
Right, so some of your argument there was based on if Meath had balls. Bernard Brogan was Footballer of the Year in 2010. When Dublin didn't even get to the All-Ireland final, he was that good they went out in a semi-final. Kerry last won an All-Ireland in 2014 when Gooch was out with a cruciate, so the only time in the last decade that they've won it, they've done it without him. You look at the greatest game of all time, which you just brought up, where Gooch was unbelievable at centre forward in the first half, and he was an unbelievable player, but he more or less retired from inter-county football at half-time because James McCarthy was put on him. He didn't touch the ball for the rest of the game. Bernard Brogan scored 6 points, 4 from play on Mark O'Shea, unbelievable. His record in All-Ireland finals, 6 points in 2011, 2-3 in 2013, man of the match, 2 points in 15. He's obviously got a little bit older the last couple of years. He was the third highest scorer in 2015 with 6.21, even though he didn't take any frees. He has 2 cruciates to 1 as well, and he's going to win his 6th All-Ireland this year, whereas Gooch has 5. And I think that's pretty much that. All the votes are in behind me.
Well, it's like there's a lot of straw men there. Like
your argument was based on ifs. You actually kept saying if Kerry got to this final.
I'm developing allergies because of the amount of straw men that are there.
And I could see Jer's eyebrow raised.
We're talking about you basically just made an argument based on the fact that Dublin have achieved more than that Kerry team,
and he was a central part of every.
When Gooch came back,
come on, you've got
talking about who is the better footballer here, and there's absolutely no question that Colm Cooper is probably.
Why didn't you make the case for it though? Why did you allow yourself to be browbeaten with this?
Because it's always a stupid thing that's thrown around. It's like, oh, Kerry bottled it here and they bottled it there. Well, in actual fact, Gooch never really did. Gooch as an individual never really bottled it in those situations. But I addressed it. I was like,
you basically said he's a one-trick pony. You engaged with that.
I literally said the opposite. I was like, how long did his peak last for? And I was like, he actually adapted his game. The very opposite of a one-trick pony. If you sent a show pony out into the Grand National and he won it, that would be the version of what Gooch was in his career.
Jared, we're going to put out a poll anyway to see who won, but who do you think won?
Oh, but there's more, you know the Dublin Twitterati, Shane, like the Twitter polls are only going one way. At least like open up your heart to the correct answer here.
Anti-dub bias.
I just think that you could have made a better case.
Oh, well, I don't need to make a case. You know, Jared, that Gooch is a far better player than Bernard Brogan.
You have to make the case. It's all point of the debate.
I made a bloody good case.
Who's going to win the debate? They made the case that if they'd beaten Tyrone, he would have been Footballer of the Year. Tyrone beat them. That's the whole point.
But if we're judging things on Footballer of the Year gongs...
We're not.
That's my point.
But you brought it up.
That's my point.
You brought it up.
But that's my point. It's like we're judging this on what he actually did on the pitch rather than what actual gongs he won.
You framed it terribly.
He was that good on the pitch.
And then
he probably should have been Footballer of the Year.
How many All-Ireland finals did they win in close games, that team?
Hey, I would have scored 2-4 against Mayo and Cork myself.
Okay, so now you're doing the exact thing that I know everybody out there is going to do. How many All-Irelands did Kerry win in a close game? So we're talking about 2008 and 2011 when they were the better team, they lost. Who was Kerry's best player on those 2 days? Colm Cooper. Who was Kerry's best player in those 2 seasons?
How did he do in those 2 finals?
Colm Cooper. I just told we're not listening to my exact point earlier on. 6 points out of Kerry's 14 against Tyrone in 2008. And then in what?
3 frees.
3 frees. But still, 3 from play isn't bad. 6 from 14.
Every ball is directed into Gooch because he's their best player, and he is a brilliant player.
Every ball is directed into Donaghy. What are you talking about? Gooch is like coming off him.
The whole game plan is let's get Gooch on the ball. Ultimately, whether it goes into him and it's the second ball off Donaghy or not.
Post 2006, if the ball was on to Donaghy was route number 1, and Gooch was.
How did Gooch go after the cruciate?
Gooch, to be fair, what's your actual honest take on that?
I will tell you that he really struggled when he came back, and I do think he was brilliant. He was a brilliant player for many, many years. But he came back in 2015. He scored 2-3 against Kildare, and who were terrible and conceded 7 goals. Yeah. He more or less did nothing in any other game.
So basically, you're telling me that
he more or less
you're telling me
was ineffective after.
You're telling me that we need to have this conversation after Bernard Brogan comes out, because you have just done what we weren't supposed to do here, which is judging Gooch after his peak.
Yeah, but I'm saying Brogan did his cruciate, came back and became Footballer of the Year.
That means that this conversation needs to go on, and we need to have it again after Bernard Brogan's done. And we need to judge Bernard Brogan after his cruciates or whatever his injury is.
We had a debate on Mickey Hart last week whether he should stay or go.
I coasted home on that one, and this one was just like you're giving me.
Somehow got a draw against Roscommon this week as well, by the way.
Like you're giving me the easy side of the argument 2 weeks in a row. I will admit, like clearly Mickey Hart shouldn't be sacked as Tyrone manager. It was a ludicrous suggestion from you, and clearly Bernard Brogan is not a better footballer than Gooch ever was, which is another ludicrous suggestion from you. And frankly, I'm insulted. I'm insulted that I was brought into this.
How close do you think they are?
I think Gooch. Are we talking about footballers of this century so far? Gooch would be close to the top. I would probably have Diarmuid Connolly ahead of Bernard Brogan.
But would Brogan be up there among the best finishers that we've ever seen?
Amongst the best finishers, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's an excellent player. 2 brilliant players, but Brogan just about gets it, and so do I in this debate, it seems. Speaking of...
We did actually have a result there.
Can I... No, he declared me winner.
Did you?
Well, can I just bring something up?
Did you actually declare a winner?
I think you backed yourself into a corner.
I didn't back myself into any corner here.
Like a cornered rat, you just were like pawing at whatever you could.
Did you actually tell him that he won?
Shane won this week.
Yeah. Now, speaking of...
You might be right, but you made your argument in a bad way. It was like, all those negative... You're right. A lot of people do have negative stuff to say about you. I'd forgotten about all that negativity. Instead of just rising above it and ignoring it, the way Kerry normally do.
Well, that's a matter for Gooch. I don't have that much
Not a very cute whore, are you? You're not a very cute whore.
That's the most offensive thing anybody's ever said.
But
it's kind of good.
We brought up Cork during the middle of that discussion there because that was one of the teams that Gooch was able to do it against regularly. Can we talk about Cork?
Do you want me to revisit the statistics here, or what do you want? Like, fair enough if you want to say that about Kerry.
Who has the higher scoring average over their careers? Do we know?
Presume Brogan.
Probably Brogan. Like, you do realise what provincial championship he played in, and how many terrible teams.
Because Munster's been such a bear pit over the years.
Well, like the
early days of Tip,
except for the fact that they came up against them in the semi-final, went to a replay in 2008 against Cork, 2007 final, 2009 final. Pretty good championship, less games, scoring average. It's a massive province with crap teams coming up against Dublin year after year after year. So that scoring average is completely enhanced. Do you not get how maths works?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely get how maths works. The point is that you play, you kick 12 points against Clare. That's your average, and then he's going to kick 12 points against Clare. The whole point.
Yes, that's like having Clare again and again and again because Leinster is a bigger province.
Except there was,
and except for the fact that Cork actually were an All-Ireland winning team, and there was no other All-Ireland
Bernard Brogan
from that entire province.
Kildare were reaching All-Ireland finals, and actually they came up against them all the time. But hang on a second.
During Bernard Brogan,
the point about at the start of his career,
Kildare reaching All-Ireland finals
in 2010, or semi-final in 2010, and that Dublin team. Brogan dives to win a free that wins the game for them in the final minute. But the point about Cork is Kerry only ever let Cork into games when they couldn't be arsed. And then every time there was a replay or a big game proper, they beat them over that period of time because they were a far superior side.
So what are we talking about 2010 then, when Cork actually won an All-Ireland?
Do they be
Are we saying that 2010, the year that Bernard Brogan... Are we saying that 2010, the year Bernard Brogan won All-Star Footballer of the Year, are we calling that a joke of a year? Because that would certainly dismantle your argument as well with it. So you can pick one argument to take away, Jerry. You can't whatever. I'm trying to think of the cliche.
That ship has sailed.
Can't have your cake and eat it, is what I was trying to say.
That ship has sailed. Are Cork now Munster's fourth team? Because they've lost to Clare as well. They're in relegation, at a relegation battle to not go down to Division 3.
Well, like in league standings, they are. They are Munster's fourth team.
Yeah.
It's hilarious that we're actually having this discussion.
Most clubs in Ireland, and yet they're somehow not producing.
I've gone from full feeling sorry to them to actually feeling sorry for them at this point.
That took about a week.
Yeah, it didn't take that long. It is really sad, isn't it?
They've gone really defensive, and yet somehow Clare had scored 2 goals after 5 minutes as well. Do you give them more time?
How much joy do you take from this as a Tipperary hurling supporter that Cork football is crap?
I grew up hating Cork so much because they beat Tip and they just had this
again and again.
Confidence on the right side of arrogance, I believe they like to call it. And they were sick. No, but it is the same. Even I want the Tip footballers to go brilliantly as well, and would love to see them beat Cork this year as well. Yeah, they're a bit of a shambles. And Larry Tompkins did a piece with John Fogarty this week, and there's a couple of quotes I want to throw out there. He goes, "Are they not fit enough? Are they strong enough? Are they ruthless enough? Is it the first thing in their lives? It's not about their ability, but attitude and application. I see Mark Collins playing for Castlehaven, kicking 7 or 8 points from midfield. He gives exhibitions during the county championship, but with Cork he doesn't seem to be that player. Whether he's afraid to shoot with Cork, I don't know, but he's a hell of a player." And then one other quote he had was, "Cork have the players, but they're not getting themselves into the frame of mind they need to be in. I think they're getting carried away with too much shit as regards tactics. The most important thing in football is you keep things simple." That's fairly damning. And as well, if you look at
not right though.
Well, maybe, and maybe he's a player of his own time, and then that no longer applies.
It doesn't apply. We know it doesn't apply because if you look at the teams who've been successful over the last number of years, they have had a discernible style of play or multiple styles of play that can respond to how the opposition is going, and everybody has a clear understanding of what their role is. You suspect that at this stage, Cork don't have clarity in what they're trying to achieve, and that might come over the course of a league campaign. Very early to be writing them off in the season just yet.
You can't say that they're not producing the footballers, because just looking at their underage record recently, just at under 21 only, if I can isolate it to that, the last won the All-Ireland in 2009, but Munster under 21s, 2009, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16. Footballers are there.
Yeah.
No excuse.
Without question. Like that's definitely the biggest anomaly here, why that hasn't been transitioned into any semblance of senior stability. They've got worse when the conveyor belt seemed to have got better.
All the best ones have been picked up by the hurlers.
It's true. Aidan Walsh has even gone back to the hurlers playing full forward. There you go. Quick word on the club semi-finals this weekend as well. Corfin against Gidor and Dr. Crokes against Mullinachta. We'll start with Mullinachta. They're everybody's fairy tale team. Can they possibly do it against the second Crokes this year after beating Kilmacud?
I mean, they have to believe why not at this point, right? They've come this far. They've had that long winter. Who knows? I mean, are Crokes going to take them for granted? They keep telling everybody they won't. But surely everybody down in Kerry is going, here, come on.
Yeah,
come on.
The element of surprise is gone.
What do you think, Owen? What do Kerry think about this?
Yeah, do you hate Dr. Crokes? You know, as a Fireys man, so you'd hate the big team surely from the
You see, as a Fireys, like we were a junior club, so we've never actually had to deal with that. There's only part of your soul that you can give over to East Kerry as a divisional team, because sometimes they're crap, sometimes they're not. So I'm sure anybody who's from Legion or any of the Clarny big clubs would absolutely despise them. And
Gooch will be on the bench, by the way.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I think that's a hugely encouraging thing from the school of thought that it is Mullinachta could get absolutely hockeyed this weekend.
Bad for your debate, though.
Oh my God! Are you actually? If we're going to factor in 2019 Colm Cooper into this debate,
Brogan will still start for Plunkets.
I'm never coming on the show ever again.
Tell us what you think is going to happen, though.
I think Crokes could win this game by 11 or 12 points.
Yeah, I think they'll win well. The element of surprise is gone with Mullinachta. Paddy Fox, he's going to man-mark somebody, but it's not like with Kilmacud Crokes where you stop Mannion and you've gone fairly far in terms of winning that game. So
the thing is, like, Crokes have a lot of nice footballers, you could say. Like, they are
soft lads.
Like it could be described as such. I don't welcome your negativity. I'm going to call them nice footballers. Shane Stapleton calling them soft footballers. They are excellent. It depends if they're allowed to run riot, and if they get kind of a sniff at all of a big win, they will take it. The thing is getting themselves into that position. The likes of Tony Brosnan and David Shaw are two outstanding footballers. Do they like him up? as the phrase goes.
Like what up them?
Who was it? Kevin Keegan? I don't know whoever says that. We'll find out. If Mulliniochta aren't afraid of getting a bit gritty, then Dr. Crokes could be in a bit of trouble. But I don't think so. I think it'll be 12-point win.
Finally, then Guido against Corofin. So Corofin, reigning All-Ireland champions, fantastic players. Michael Lundy, Gary Sice, Ian Burke, Liam Silk. Keep naming them, just quality all over the field against Guido. You'd kind of love to see Eamon and Neil McGee and Kevin Cassidy wash up in All-Ireland final day.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. That's the fairy tale outcome. It's not like Crokes and Corofin don't know exactly what this is all about and what it means and all that kind of stuff. And a fairy tale proper Club All-Ireland final, maybe the last one ever on Paddy's Day. I mean, obviously it won't be because it's going to take so long.
Which makes no odds anyway. When you're out in the field, you don't care that it's Paddy's Day. It's pointless. It shouldn't be a reason to hold up the calendar.
Just that the weather's so bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
what's it like training for like 6? Like, what is it?
For nothing over Christmas.
Yeah.
What's it like dealing with that break?
The provincial final and the All-Ireland semi-final?
Well, it's just annoyingly long.
Yeah.
People talk about the break and all this kind of stuff and how do you deal with the break. As long as you're not boozing for like 5 weeks in a row, you'll be fine. Just keep,
touch not go.
Huh?
Your touch not go.
I don't think so, because all you're going to do really is you'll take...
nowhere near as good as they are at the end of last year, generally. A lot of these semi-finals are crap, to be honest.
Yeah, that is the case. Dr. Crokes have lost 3 finals before they won it a couple of years ago and won the All-Ireland final, actually, by the way. They tend to be pretty close. But I would think of the break. You take more or less a full break for the first week, maybe week and a half, to keep tipping away at a gym session. Then start ramping up training again, get a couple of challenge matches, and everyone's right as rain. I think people use it as an excuse afterwards.
Inter-county teams reuse as challenge matches?
Yeah, I think we played in 2017, the start of the year, we played against Tipperary. We were supposed to play Kilkenny last year. I was actually raging because I love to, for people who don't know, I play for Coola, but I'd love to have played against Kilkenny in a challenge match just to see what it's actually like playing against them. And we had another one called off against Laois. So the weather can really get in the way.
Yeah.
But it's more annoying waiting for ages and ages and ages, because your form can be great in the provincial championship and then 2 months later you actually don't know where you're at, and neither does
that's
the manager.
What I meant by your touch goals.
Yeah, that's
or
fair.
At least
then.
a sense of confidence in your touch goals.
Yeah, the momentum goes. Have we it all said, lads?
Yeah, I think so.
I think we do.
Congratulations, Shane.
Thank you
I can't
very
believe
much.
you lost a debate about Gooch. What's wrong with you?
And convincingly.
I'm so pissed off with the world at the moment.
Language, come on.
Things would conspire.
Maybe Sheahan isn't going to be happy with that language.
The idea that you would actually bring such a stupid debate to the table, first of all, is one thing, but then to actually entertain that
Who
is
did you pick in your Sean O'Shea versus David Clifford?
That's only the second most stupid conversation that was had today, that we have to pick one of those.
Who did you pick?
Who did he pick? Why would you
Clifford, didn't he?
Oh, of course. I presume you'd pick Clifford.
Why would you pick? What was the question again?
Who would you prefer on your team?
I don't think so.
Who's the more exciting prospect?
Who's the more exciting? See, that's the thing. Who's the more exciting footballer?
The hipster choice is obviously not Clifford.
Why?
Because you want to be a hipster.
He's the obvious magic, isn't he?
There you go, yeah.
Well,
he's your Gooch, and then
who's giving Kerry fans more excitement during their very short Kerry career so far? And the answer is David Clifford, because of the goal up in Clonus. So.
And because of the highlight reel of goals in Croke Park as a teenager.
Well, that's the thing. And who's the more effective footballer? I think you can make an argument for either man.
He's throwing shade at Clifford now.
No, I just said you can make an argument for either man.
They'd eat their young without salt.
Okay.
You're going right to the top.
Let's leave him alone, Joe. Jeez, he won't sleep for a week after this. All right, that's it for the hurling show. For the Gaelic Football Show. The hurling show is coming up tomorrow at 3 o'clock, and I'm getting shade from all directions now. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, Twitter, same with this. We're back next Wednesday as well. You can get us on podcast 2 on offtheball.com. We'll see you next week.